What's up guys, it's your boy Lanier, and I'm here to talk about the Lumix G7 and whether or not if it's a camera that's worth getting in 2023. This little camera packs a punch. Now I'm vlogging right now or making this video on my Lumix S5, but don't get it twisted. If I was to put this camera up there, it wouldn't be too much of a difference. The only main difference so far in this shot is that with my Lumix S5 I have a wider field of vision. Probably if I was to get on this camera, it'd probably be stuck to about like this, but you know, that's why I'm not necessarily vlogging on this to make this video. One thing I would definitely say about this camera, that if you were planning on getting it, is the fact that if you're like a beginning professional and you want to switch over to like the professional world, but you don't want a camera that's going to break your pockets, this is what this camera is definitely for. I think as of right now, the most expensive I've seen this camera online is about like $600, but you can find this camera on like OfferUp or like Facebook Marketplace, and a lot of people resell this camera all the time, like especially like people like me. If I like, since I actually upgraded to the S5, some people sell their camera, even though I don't want to sell this camera because first of all, it made this channel, but I like taking pictures on it. Like I usually use this as like my main photo camera right now, since I do a lot of my videos with my S5 now. But don't get it twisted, the videos capability on this camera is also beast. It's China, my dog, she's down sleeping next to me right now. Also, I'm kind of getting over like a little bit of a cold, so I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice, but I'm pretty sure you probably can, so I apologize for that. And by the way, this video isn't going to be like a really technical tutorial type of thing. I'm pretty sure there's a plenty of people on YouTube who are going to be giving you guys like a technical breakdown. If that's the type of person you are, then I'm sorry. I just like to keep it real and tell you guys how it is for me. Now that I've been a photographer, videographer for about 13 years professionally, this is just basically my take on this camera. It's basically a great camera. And with all of the things that we have going on in today's society, like all the reasons why we even want a nice camera, most of the time you're probably gonna be posting your footage or your photos to like Instagram, to like YouTube, to these online websites that are automatically going to compress your videos and pictures down anyway, and most of the time they're only going to replay it back at 1080, even if you do shoot it at 4K, like I'm shooting this video at 4K. Most of the time, by the time you post it, especially if you're going to post it to Instagram doesn't let you post anything higher than 1080 anyway. And when it comes to 1080, this camera is crushing it. So if you want to be like an Instagram photographer, if you plan on a lot of your work being out there or a lot of your videos being out there on Instagram is like going to be the main way you get clients and stuff, then a camera like this is going to be beast. Also, even on YouTube, this camera is great for YouTube videos as well. So it's really compact, and this camera is a lot smaller than like a camera like this, which is my Blackmagic 4K camera that I usually use for like my client shoots and stuff like that. I usually shoot music videos and stuff like that. I think it's really cool. Also, another reason why you might want to get the Lumix G7 is because if you ever plan on upgrading to a big cinema camera like the Blackmagic, all of the lenses that go on this camera will also fit on this camera because they're both a 4x3 sensor. So this lens interchanges to this lens, it goes back and forth. So it's kind of like I'm telling you, it's like really like the perfect beginner camera that can really help you elevate and get to where you want to go. Let's go ahead and put this big boy back down though, it's getting heavy. This camera is a great buy if you're planning on getting this for somebody that you care about. I've had a lot of people in my comments, a lot of people who find me on Instagram and message me and say, hey, they just bought this camera for their kid, for their son or daughter, and they send my videos out about this camera to their sons or daughters all the time. So I just want to let you guys know that if someone bought you this camera and you're going into 2023, they brought you a great camera, and you're gonna be able to start making some really dope videos just with this camera alone. One thing I would also like to say is, if I was you, I would definitely invest in getting a lens like this lens right here that's on my camera, a 20mm lens. It also has an aperture of 1.7, and all that really means is that it's really good at blurring out the background. Like as you guys can see right now, the background for me is kind of blurry. This lens makes it super blurry and creamy, so you probably wouldn't even know that that's even like a door or stuff like that behind me if I was to shoot on this camera. But it would also kind of tighten in the focus or tighten in the range of what you can see. But once again, that's really dope for like if you're taking photos, and also if you want to do like creative videos, like where you're not necessarily, I wouldn't vlog with this because it would be too tight on my head or face. It would feel like my face is all in the camera. But if you want to like catch other people or make like a video, music video, like recap video of things, this lens does a really great job of that. I know I've been rambling a lot about this camera. I've made a whole YouTube channel based off of this camera. One thing I would also say to also know on why this camera is so dope is, I mean, think about how many people who have made a video just about this camera alone. If you found this video, you probably have already scrolled through like 10 to 20, 30 other great YouTube videos just about this camera alone, because it really is a good camera. Even going into 2023. And I'm probably going to be saying this is a good camera going all the way into probably 2024 or 2025. Like, it's really just good. And I think the only thing that would make this camera start to become outdated is if all of a sudden 4K just becomes the just new standard across the board, across every platform. Even though this camera can shoot in 4K though. 6K will probably be the only thing that puts this camera out of like commission. I mean, if everyone switches to just shooting 10K or watching videos in 6K, but I don't see that happening anytime soon, because then like all of our phones, all of our TVs, all of our laptops iPads would have to start showing 6K in order to see 6K that we're actually recording. So all in all, I would say we've almost reached a limit to the capabilities of what our own eyes can even perceive. Even though our technology is getting better and better, there's really no need to go past what the Lumix G7 can do, unless you're trying to get a full frame sensor so you can make things easier. A Lumix G7 can do some very similar things than what this S5 can show you right now. It just all depends on how many more extra things you would have to buy. Like, because this is a 4x3 sensor, it means that everything is cropped by a factor of 2 when it comes to the lenses. For example, right now I'm at 20 millimeters on my lens right now on the S5, which is giving me a wide look. But 20 millimeters on this camera is going to look like 40 millimeters, which is a way tighter field of vision to be able to talk to people. In order for me to get this same type of look on this camera, I would have to get a 10 millimeter lens. And a 10 millimeter lens, I think might be another $500 or $600. It's a whole nother same cost of the camera. Now at that point, you're still not quite the same price of what it would be to buy the Lumix S5, but you're getting there. So you would basically just have to do basic math to understand how the 4x3 sensor works. Now, if you guys want to know a lot more about this camera, I would highly suggest to check out some other videos on this channel. I've been talking about the Lumix G7 for, I would say, about 1.5 years now. You can actually see the progress of the things that I've done and videos I've shot, vacations I've gone on using only just this camera, and it turned out great. I've only recently just bought the Lumix S5, I think back in October. So I've only had this camera for about 2 months, and I've been doing some really fun stuff with this camera as well. But I still have no need to want to get rid of this camera at all. I probably would use this camera in different scenarios. Like, I do plan on getting a 10 millimeter lens because I've really fallen in love with this wide field of vision on the X5. On top of that, I do like how small this camera is, and the type of like quality you get out of it is really dope. There's been issues where I've taken my Lumix S5 into different venues, different restaurants or whatever, and they'll tell me I can't bring my S5 because they feel like it's too professional of a camera, and they think that I'm gonna like make their restaurant or event or whatever look bad. I'm not sure. I guess people really want to be in control of their brand, so I understand that. But the Lumix S5 has brought unwanted attention already because it's so big. Well, not really that big compared to some other full frame cameras, but it's still a big camera compared to this camera. With this camera, I can almost sneak it in. Like, I mean, I can like hide it in my hoodie. I can just put it in my hoodie and just keep my hands here, and people wouldn't even realize it. I could put it in certain pockets if I have really big pockets or cargo pants. I can pretty much hide this camera and then take it out when I need it to start getting some really great footage. Not saying that you guys should do that, but I'm just telling you some different perks about having a smaller camera that can also shoot really, really good. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on if you guys should get a Lumix G7. The overwhelming answer is definitely yes, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people who would also tell you yes, this camera is great. The only downfall that people talk about this camera is the focusing speed, or how good it is at focusing. And once again, I've made a video about that on how to solve that problem as well. So that shouldn't have to be a thing that like keeps you from getting this camera, because there's so many other really dope perks that I would say that you should definitely look into. But anyway, with that said, I'm going to be dropping some more videos on the Lumix G7. I'm going to be dropping some more videos with the Lumix S5, Blackmagic. I'm just going to do a whole lot more camera stuff. I even have the Pocket 2 here that I don't really use as often anymore. It's just about to be a whole bunch of camera stuff going on. I might start actually comparing these cameras so you guys can get an idea of how they all work and what scenarios they work the best in. But with that said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Appreciate you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. I do try to respond to all the comments. There's been a lot of comments lately. So I look forward to being able to interact with you guys some more and grow this channel as my new main channel. Appreciate you guys.